Hello friends, in this lesson we will be discussing about cost saving tips for leasing office space. Here we have mentioned 11 cost saving tips when leasing office space. Real estate or the cost of office space is typically a company's second or third largest expenditure. Minimizing your occupancy cost drop straight to the bottom line. Here some cost saving tips to consider before you start the process of deciding on your office location. First, start the process early. The longer you have to evaluate options and structure the transaction is to the tenant's benefit. I see for the smallest tenant you should allocate a minimum of 6 months. Most tenants should start 12 to 18 months prior to lease expiration, and the largest corporate space users should begin evaluation 2 to 3 years before expiration of their current lease. Second, don't lease more space than you need. Space requirements are not often static. What you have today may no longer be your optimal size. Before you never evaluate any building either for relocation or renewal, you should go through a complete space programming exercise with an architect or space planner. Identify your optimal space size and configuration. All square feet are not created equal from building to building. Loss factor for common areas and public spaces, bed depth and floor plate configurations can all impact how much rentable space you require from building to building. Each building should be evaluated with a baseline already established as your optimal size and layout. Third, you have to bring competition into the dynamic of the negotiation. One mistake tenants often make, especially in renewals, is not creating aggressive competition from various buildings in the marketplace. Building owners who acknowledge they are in stiff competition for your tenancy will be the most aggressive. Savvy and experienced landlords also know on average tenants renew 70% of the time, so it's critical of your current landlord to perceive you can and will relocate even if renewal is your primary objective. Landlords recognize with proper representation you will be truly evaluating the marketplace. The commercial brokerage industry is a small community, and building leasing agents talk to each other. Without a competitive negotiation, you will fail to achieve the best terms. Fourth, determine what are the most important concessions in the long run. Of course, the rental rate is important, but the whole concession package must be evaluated and factored into your financial decision, including the timing of cash flows. For startups or growing companies, an escalating rent schedule with lower rent payments in the early term of the lease can be important for capital allocation. Fifth, pay carefully attention to the construction cost and build out allowances. not paying careful attention to the design issues as they relate to built out cost, pricing space plan before signing a lease, and failing to solicit competitive construction bids is where many tenants leave money on the table. Sixth, pay careful attention to the operating expense escalation provision and cap operating expenses. A poorly negotiated operating expense and pass through provisions in the lease can cost you serious money over the term of the lease. Specific definitions of building operating expenses, including exclusions, audit rights, and if attainable, a cap on controllable operating expenses by the landlord should be obtained. Seventh, give the renewal option its proper attention. Renewal options don't always seem the important to tenants. When signing a lease, there is often too much of an attitude of I will worry about the time comes. Paying special attention to the renewal option, particularly the definition of fair market value, arbitration mechanism, notice periods for exercising the option, and hold over rent penalties can save a lot of headache and money. 8. Compare options on an apples of apples basis. What appears on the surface as the best economic package is not always the case after a detailed evaluation of all cost factors. Comparing total occupancy cost on an apples to apple basis is a must to take the best financial decision. 9th, sublease provision may not seem important now, but it could be later. Business conditions may detect subletting a portion or all of your space. A poorly negotiated sublease provision can hamper the marketability of your space on a sublease basis. 10th, build some flexibility into the lease if possible. Expansion, space reduction, and cancellation options, when attainable, are critical for building flexibility into your lease agreement. Most lease agreements are long term, it's about 3 to 10 years. Business conditions are rarely static. The ability to right size your lease or cancel altogether can, even in some cases, save your business or prevent costly moves and inconvenient expansion scenarios. 11th, plan for worst case or unlikely scenarios. Extended interruptions of building services, building condemnation. It is important to mitigate your risk in the lease agreement for when these occurrences may arise. This was the discussion about tips for leasing office space. Thank you.